I feel like even if what I am doing has failed, then I can still do small things, or everyone can do small things to help to end hunger. Or even if it's not hunger, just do something small, help your community. I feel like that's something that's really, really important to do, really, really impactful.
It's time to change the world.
There's got to be a better way.
It's time for something better.
You feel like you can't really make a difference, but the fact is that you can.
We're telling the stories of people who are changing the world and how you can help.
We just need more companies that are out there solving these problems.
Businesses, nonprofits, artists, and individuals who have found a problem and then created a solution.
If we want to have real impact, we have to do it together.
You'll come away from every episode with action steps you can take to be part of that solution.
We're never going to feel satisfied and happy if we just stay the same.
We can each change the world every single day.
People can actually come together and build a future for themselves along with other people.
Our daily actions have a massive impact. So what will we do about it? We can remake the world. Because guess what? We can. Hi everyone. I'm Nathan Gardner, and this is We Can Remake the World, a podcast about people who are changing the world and how you can help. I hope all of you are well and calm and getting more excited and relieved as we get further into 2021 and start to see things normalize a bit. My partner and I just booked a trip to visit our families for the first time in almost 2 years, and we're so excited. I feel so relieved that we can finally do something like this, and I hope you're all able to enjoy moments like that soon too, despite any difficulties that might still be lingering from the last year we've all had. I've been thinking about the simple things lately, and how incredible it feels just to know that I'll be seeing my family in person again soon, finally. I've been appreciating the friends we have and the friends we've made and gotten close to over the past year, our neighbors, the game nights and movie nights we've enjoyed throughout lockdown when that was the only social interaction we could have, the ways that we supported each other and kept each other informed, the friends I reconnected with through FaceTime and Zoom that I hadn't actually spoken to much until the last year, the encouragement that we gave each other, and the jokes we told to stay sane. On our show, we have a lot of big conversations with big thinkers, people who are truly visionaries, who see a whole new world that's possible if we just take a leap and make some changes. But I also love the simple conversations that we have on this show. I love exploring the way a simple act of generosity or kindness can change someone else's day for the better, and I never want to lose sight of those small but powerful ways we can all change the world every day. As we all move further into this year and enjoy the lifting of restrictions and start to move back to a faster pace and more freedom over the coming months, let's remember the simple things that got us through the last 12 to 14 months and how valuable they became. Today's guest is a really wonderful example of someone who is focused on the power of simple things. Don't get me wrong, he has accomplished a lot, and he's made a name for himself in his local community and even on national platforms because of what he's doing and how he's inspiring others. But his methods are simple. He makes something from the heart and offers it to those in need. I'm thrilled for you to hear our conversation today with Michael, a 15-year-old in Maryland who is changing the world in his own way. It's estimated currently that 1 in 6 children in the United States, about 13 million kids, don't have enough to eat. And as schools and support programs have had to shut down or adapt throughout the last year, those numbers have likely gone up. And Michael Platt wants to do something about it. Michael is a passionate baker who grew up learning to bake from his grandmother. And he became aware of inequality and food insecurity in his community and around the world at a young age, and Michael became determined to create a solution for himself. Michael was inspired by the example of Tom's Shoes, the well-known shoe brand, who ignited the one-for-one movement by giving away a pair of shoes to those in need for every pair they sold. Tom's also inspired a hugely successful guest of ours, Dave Heath, CEO and co-founder of Bombas, who also gives away a pair of high-quality socks to the homeless every time they sell a pair. As Michael built his baking business, Michael's Desserts, he decided to give away one cupcake or one dessert for every one he sold. Michael knew when he started his business at age 11 that impact would be a key part of how he grew. And over the last 4 years, that's continued to be the case. Michael hand delivers cupcakes to both his customers and to members of his community who are food insecure. And through his work and with the platform he's building for himself, Michael is raising awareness around food insecurity, especially for kids, and how we can all be part of ending hunger. Michael is an amazing example of someone who built a vision for what they can do to be part of changing the world for the better. And he's committed to making an impact while he builds his passion. Will cupcakes alone solve food insecurity? Maybe not. But we can't solve every problem the same way. And this is Michael's unique contribution. In Michael's own words, I know that a cupcake won't end hunger, but a tasty treat, when times are tough, can make life sweeter. It makes me wonder what each of us can do to offer our unique contribution based on our talents and our passions. What skills do you have that could help someone else? What solution can you be part of in a way that is uniquely your own? Those are the questions I hope you'll ask yourself throughout our conversation today. I just want to start by saying thanks for being with us, Michael. We're really excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Sure thing. So I'd like to start, with the Michael's Desserts story. I'd like to start by talking about your baking business. Can you tell us about Michael's Desserts and, what makes it different from other businesses?
Yeah, so Michael's Desserts is my baking business. It's 1 for 1. So every dessert that someone buys, I give one away. I started when I was 11 years old. So probably around 2016.
Great. And what caused you to have the idea to start this business? Did it start with a passion for baking, or how did it get started?
Yeah, so I was just really passionate about baking. I love baking. I guess I've always been in the kitchen and known how to cook, known how to cook something, even if it was really, really easy. So that kind of started off my love for cooking. And then I know the first cake that I made was with my grandmother. And that was really, really fun. That's kind of when I found my real passion for baking. And then I kind of just started my business off of there.
That's great. And how old are you now, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm 15. I turned 15 yesterday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So how's it been starting and, building a business between the ages of 11 and 15?
It's been interesting. It's been fun a lot of the time. Also, it's been kind of hard just trying to scale. Also doing other things just being a kid, playing, hanging out with my friends and doing stuff. That's kind of been interesting, kind of balance both of those.
Yeah, for sure. How did the business kind of get started when you first created it when you were 11 a few years ago? Did you start by sort of selling to people in your community and, maybe family and friends and grow from there?
So I started with a vending opportunity called Community Day near, it was in my community. So yeah, I guess I sold it to the people in my community. I didn't really know all of them, but that's kind of where I started it from. And then I guess from then on, I was selling them online. I was doing vending events just around where I live. Yeah, I guess that's just kind of how I started selling my product.
Perfect. And where did your passion for baking come in? Is there someone in your family? I know you mentioned your grandmother. Are there other people in your family who are bakers and, you kind of got the bug? How did that start?
No one's really a baker. I guess I'm kind of the resident baker in my family. When there's a holiday or something, I'm the one that bakes. And if I don't bake, then there isn't going to be any dessert. But I guess my mom kind of taught me how to cook. Everyone in my family knows how to cook. So I guess just knowing and being around that kind of got me into baking.
Perfect. And I know for your model, like you said, for every cupcake you sell, you give one to somebody who needs it or who might need it. And I'd love to know how food inequality became so important to you. How did that become the problem that you were passionate about solving?
I guess I've always known there were hungry people. And then when I started my business, when I started giving cupcakes away, I knew that, yeah, I'm giving cupcakes away, but that's not going to solve hunger. And that was my goal. So I kind of started doing more research on it, doing a bunch of stuff like around hunger specifically, other than just giving away cupcakes. And that kind of like sparked my passion for hunger. Because I want people to eat, and even if they can't afford food, I love feeding people, even if they can't afford it. I still want to give them something. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you come to the 1-for-1 model? Where did you get that idea?
So my parents got me a pair of Tom's shoes for Christmas. That's kind of like how I got that 1-for-1 model, because Tom's shoes business model also was 1-for-1. So every shoe that someone bought, they would give one to someone who needs it. So that's kind of like where my 1-for-1 business model came from.
And, I'd love to hear more about what you learned about food inequality when you started to do your own research and you wanted to understand more about the problem. What did you find, and how did that inspire you to, again, create your part of the solution?
So yeah, I guess one of the big resources that I have is a hunger map. And it's basically just like a map of every state in America, and then the percentage of people, or percentage of specifically of kids that are food insecure. So that's kind of like one of my really big like facts. I also work with an organization called No Kid Hungry. So they definitely support me a lot, and we work together a lot. That's also a big resource that I have. Yeah. So like also where I am in Maryland, I think the statistic for food insecure kids is 1 in 6. 1 in 6 kids is hungry. So that is one of my like really big statistics, like especially when I'm talking to people that live in my community. Then when I'm visiting other places and I'm talking there, I'll give them statistics about where they are in their community.
Yeah, I think that's great to bring it to a local level and just help people understand that this is a problem that we don't always see or think about, but that affects a lot of people. We actually had another guest on our show who started a food donation program in New York City, and he grew up food insecure. And the number of people who don't have enough food is huge. And it's not just, the homeless or people in shelters. It's people who are going to school with you and, your coworkers and their families. And I think that's great, just that, you have such an awareness you've chosen to, again, kind of incorporate some solution into the work that you're doing. Would you talk more about what you've done with No Kid Hungry and kind of how you all collaborate to help be part of the solution?
Yeah. So like 24/7, I am always talking about No Kid Hungry, getting people to donate to No Kid Hungry. It's kind of like one of my big things that I do. And then also once a year, we do a really, really, really big bake sale. So we have different categories and people compete for the categories, but then also people can buy the, whatever the person entered in the competition, and then they can buy that thing, and then the proceeds go to No Kid Hungry. And then last year I did a documentary type thing with, Discovery, and they're doing a Turn Up to Fight Hunger campaign where they're trying to raise like I think $1 billion to No Kid Hungry.
Wow, that's amazing. Would you mind sharing just a bit about what No Kid Hungry does? What's the work that they do, and how do they support kids who need food?
Yeah, so No Kid Hungry, they do a bunch of different things, whether it's like breakfast in the classroom or hunger meal sites where people can go when they're not in school to get food, like whether it's during the summer or now, when there's a pandemic and kids aren't in school. And they also provide grants to people who have a nonprofit. They'll give them a grant that they can do more things in hunger. And then they also, they have kind of like petitions or different things where people can talk to their local governors about changing the laws that will help with, ending hunger.
Great. And for the cupcakes and the baked goods that you donate every time one is purchased, do you actually make those deliveries yourself? Are you there giving those foods to those who need it?
Yes. So a lot of the time I'm either just in the parks in DC because I live really, really close to DC. So I'll just be giving away cupcakes there. Or I'll go to the shelters, give away cupcakes. But a lot of the time, almost all the time, I'm really hands-on with actually giving out the cupcakes, giving out food. I'll go to shelters and pass them out, domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters. But then if, say, I'm doing something or I'm busy, I'll just give a donation to No Kid Hungry.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you be willing to tell a couple stories of the folks that you've given baked goods too. What's their reaction been, and, where were they? And just share a little bit about how that experience has been for you, actually being the one who hands what you've made to somebody that you're able to give to because of somebody else's purchase.
Yeah, so I guess almost every really big impact that's happened to me has taught me a lesson. So there's a story that I tell a lot. There was a guy who was sitting in a park, and I gave him a cupcake. He was really he was dressed in really nice clothes. He didn't really look like he probably needed it, but we gave it to him anyway because you can't really judge a book by its cover. And he hadn't eaten in 3 days. That was the first night in 3 days. So that was one of the big things that taught me, hunger doesn't look like anything. You can't really tell if someone's hungry, just by looking at them. And another lesson that I learned was that people, even if they don't really have a lot, they'll still give what they have. Because once I was giving away, cupcakes at a homeless shelter, and there was a kid who was leaving the homeless shelter, and there was also a man selling flowers, and the kid bought a flower. We gave a cupcake to her, and the kid gave a flower to my mom because that's all she had. So she gave her the flower, and just knowing that people give, even if they don't really have a lot to give, they still give, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love what you said about the fact that we don't always know what the face of hunger looks like. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of shame for people who are in that situation sometimes, and they don't always want to ask or make it known that they're struggling, but there's so much we can do. And I love that you're creating more awareness. And of course, you're also giving what you're making, but just the fact that you're doing this work to help people understand this problem in a new way and kind of get the word out, I think that's equally as powerful. And I just think that's really great.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you love most about baking? What do you love about making food?
I guess I love everything about making food. I love being able to see things go from just flour and sugar and eggs to a finished product. I love being able to cook and just be in that space, and then also feed people, just give them the food that I made, the food that I'm proud of. Yeah.
And what do you bake in addition to cupcakes? What else do you make?
So cupcakes are the things that I sell the most. But I also with just my family, I'll make pies. Also cook things, cook just meals for my family. A lot of times I'll just do a random family dinner where I'll make a whole feast, and then just invite people over, my grandmother and my grandparents, and talk to them about when they were kids, and just about the history of food that they've experienced.
That's great. I think I saw on your website, I just checked it out as I was kind of getting ready to chat with you today, and there was a really nice looking wedding cake that you had made too. I think, if I remember right, it was your first one, but it looked pretty amazing. So clearly, you've got some skills in that kitchen.
Yeah.
That's great. Would you tell me about the Freedom Fighter cupcakes that you make, and maybe describe a few of the flavors and what inspired them?
Yeah, so Freedom Fighter cupcakes are basically just cupcakes that I make every month, and they highlight a freedom fighter that inspired me to do what I do. So, civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King, or other people that just inspired me to do what I do, Malala. There was a man he had a YouTube channel called Grandpa Kitchen, and he would make huge plates of food and then give them to people in orphanages. Which is really, really cool. Just people who inspire me to do what I do. And then I'll highlight them. And then the flavor is either based off of what they look like, based off of where they come from, based off of their nicknames even, or even their favorite food.
That's great. Yeah, those looked really good too. I saw a few of the photos, but I just love that, again, you get creative with bringing each of those folks who are chosen as the Freedom Fighter of the month. You kind of take aspects of their personality and you incorporate it into the design of the cupcake. And I just think that's really great. How's the response been to what you make in your community? I imagine that people, if they taste as good as they look, I imagine the response has been positive. But how's it been kind of growing this business in your community?
Yes, it's been really, really interesting. A lot of people kind of wait, because I have seasonal cupcakes Martin Luther King cupcake, which is sweet potato pie. And that cupcake comes out in November for Thanksgiving, because sweet potato pie cupcake, and also for February and January. And that is sweet potato pie cupcake. And a lot of people people wait like all year to buy that cupcake. That's why it's kind of like one of the cupcakes that I sell the most, just because a lot of people enjoy it. Yes. So also another man that I met while I was giving away cupcakes, he was like really, really excited to get the cupcakes, but also we had a camera crew with us and he did not want to be on camera. So we say, well, we'll turn the cameras off, but do you still want a cupcake? And he said, yes, I like a cupcake. And now almost all the time, like he'll ask us, like, are you coming to DC to give away cupcakes? He wants one. That's kind of like a connection that I made. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. And I'd love to hear about your thoughts on the future of your business, of Michael's Desserts. What in your dreams would happen, maybe in the not too distant future? Obviously, you've got to finish up some school and things like that. But what do you see as things continue to grow? And what would you like to see for your business? And what kind of impact would you like to make?
So yeah, I definitely just want to like scale what I'm doing. We've kind of like hit like a stump, but we're still trying to like still scale. Right now, we're still working out of our kitchen at home. So we definitely want a commercial kitchen or a cafe or just a place where we can actually like a physical store we can actually sell our desserts. Because now we're doing it out of our home and we're selling them online. We don't actually have a place to sell them. So that would definitely be something like our next step. Looking forward to.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some sort of community co-op kind of thing where you could go in once a week and set up a stand or something like that. I feel like that could be a really awesome venue for what you do. And then it's just an even greater way for you to connect with the community too, because you're out there and they get to meet you, they get to hear about your story. And I mean, even if it's just once a week, I think that could be really awesome and really impactful for you. I hope something like that shows up. So how can people support Michael's Desserts and your mission? Maybe if they don't live in your community, are you able to send your cupcakes and your baked goods into some of the surrounding area by mail? Or is the best way for people to support what you're doing to donate? Or is there a kind of gift card opportunity? I'd love to hear more about just how people can support what you're doing.
Yeah, so I did ship cupcakes, but now we're kind of just doing local orders for cupcakes. But right now we're also doing like cookie cake mixes. So if you do want to buy a cookie cake mix, you can. It's basically like a mix that you can make at home and we'll ship it to you. That's really easy to ship. So there's like really no worries about shipping those. Also, Plate, I have a nonprofit called Plate and it's an acronym. It's Power, Love, Learning, and Access to Everyone. And it's basically about food access. So if you want to donate to Plate, you can definitely donate to Plate. Also, you can get hungry. You can buy a cupcake if you do live in the DMV or near me. You can buy a cupcake. I'll deliver them, or you can pick them up. And yeah, just like buy a cupcake, donate to Plate, or donate to No Get Hungry. Those are kind of like 3 ways that you can help.
That's great. Would you talk more about Plate and what you all are doing with that?
Yeah, so Plate right now specifically, we are doing snack packs, which are basically just like healthy, non-perishable snacks that kids can eat when they get home from school, or just like if you're food insecure and even if you can't cook like ramen, then there's something you can eat just to like hold you over until your next meal. And then we're also working on a cookbook, just like easy food that parents can help kids make that kids can eat. Just like easy, cheap, delicious food that kids can make when they get home, or just like simple things that kids can make. And one of the other things that we'd like to do is a eating and cooking under a budget classes, and also small space gardening classes, and just that people can like make their own food. Like I feel like that's something that's really cool. Like even if you're cooking your food, it would be really cool to make your own food, and it's cheap and easy to do. And then there's also one of the big things that I really want to do is have a pay what you can grocery store, where basically people, if they can't afford to pay for $12 of groceries, they can pay $10 or $5 and still be able to get that food.
That's amazing. I know that models like that tend to work really well because those who can often will pay a little more, and then those who can't will pay a little less, and it balances itself out. And I feel like I hear stories of that always just sort of working. It sounds like something that could be stressful for those who are running it, but it always kind of finds a way to balance out, which I think is really great. And I think it says something about, the intentions behind it. And I also just love that it sounds like you're approaching this food insecurity problem from as many angles as you can. You're looking at, yes, donating the cupcakes, but you're also wanting to empower people to grow their own food or to learn how to prepare their own food, with maybe a modest budget. Or I think those snack packs too are so powerful, especially these days when a lot of kids don't have access to the meals at school that they normally would. That's a big deal for some kids.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I mean, I just think all of your ideas are really good and are all doing something really impactful for this problem. And that brings me to another question I'd like to ask. I think I saw on social media, again, as I was kind of just taking a look at things to get ready for our conversation, that, you've had people say, a cupcake won't solve hunger, or the business model where you're donating for everyone you sell isn't sustainable. And I'd just love to hear what your response is to people who question this business model, or to people who question, the size, so to speak, of the impact that you're making.
Yeah, so I guess sometimes I'll get like doubters who really won't like see what I'm doing or see it as something that's sustainable or something that I should be doing. And I guess I've just been doing it this whole time, so and everything's kind of worked out. I feel like I should I feel like even if what I am doing is failed or fails, then I can still do small things, or everyone can do small things to help to end hunger, or even if it's not hunger, just do something small, help your community. I feel like that's something that's really, really important to do, really, really impactful. And yeah.
Absolutely. What are a few small steps that you think everyday people can make every day to make a positive impact with food insecurity in their local communities? What are some ideas that you would give people just based on the experiences you have kind of being close to this problem?
I guess one of the big things is to raise awareness for it. It's because even if you do something, but you're the only person that's doing it, or the only person that's heard about this problem, then you're doing something, but I feel like it would be better if more people knew about it, or if more people did something about it. I guess I kind of have like a rubric on how to help people, which is inspire, donate, and educate. So educate yourself about the problem, inspire other people to take action for that problem, and then actually do it, which is donate. Just like donate to that problem.
What do you wish more people understood about food insecurity? I mean, we've spoken about the fact that not all of us are fully aware of the size of the problem, but what else do you wish people understood?
I guess just that it's kind of like a ridiculous problem to have, because there's food everywhere, and food is something that people need to like survive. Like that's not a crazy thing to ask for. Can I have something to eat? Like that is a really like big problem, and it's also a ridiculous problem. Like I feel like a lot of people know that it's there, but aren't really doing a lot about it. And I feel like that's something that needs to change, just because it is a big problem, and it's also a problem that shouldn't really be happening. And I also feel like it's a very simple problem to solve. Like people are hungry, you should feed them. Like it's not like you don't need to do all of these things. You don't need to overthink it. It's really just you're hungry, feed them. Figure out ways to feed people. Be creative with it. Make good food, and just give the people what they need. Feed the people.
Absolutely. I think one thing that's kind of cool about what you do too is that you're giving people something that brings so much joy. I mean, of all the things that someone could receive when food is maybe scarce, a cupcake, I think it's playful and it's fun. And again, I've seen some of the photos of your cupcakes and they're really colorful. And I can imagine that they probably bring a lot of joy to people when they receive those.
Yeah, thank you.
Michael, what can a cupcake do to change the world and to help people eat?
I feel like a cupcake is just like a joyful thing that kids can get, or that people can get, even if it's not something that is going to hold you over for the entire day. It just brightens your day and makes you feel a bit better, even if it's like not going to solve hunger, but it will make you feel better about what you're going through. Like it's a very simple thing that a lot of people kind of like don't see as something as powerful as.
Totally. And would you just speak about, from your perspective, the power that each of us have to make a positive impact every day, each in our own way?
Yeah, I just feel like everyone can solve a problem, even if you're doing something really, really small. Just do what you can to solve a problem, and it's going to help somebody. Just like, even if you only cook one meal, like if you make a bowl of cereal for somebody, that is something that they don't have to worry about. So I feel like just doing what you can is powerful.
What impresses me most about Michael is the clarity he has that everything he does can have an impact. I appreciate that so much. This is a way of thinking that I think is impressive at any age. It's not just about Michael being 15 and doing what he's doing. It's the fact that he wants to reach out and intentionally shape the world around him every day with what he's doing with his life. Michael's bringing meaning to the things he loves by elevating them so that they serve others. And that's our first takeaway for today's episode. We explore these 3 changemakers, or the 3 key takeaways, after every conversation. Changemaker number 1. We all have the opportunity to change the world simply by looking at who we are and what we have to offer. Michael turned his passion project into a way to give back to the community around him. And what I love is you can also hear some entrepreneurial spirit in Michael. He has every intention of building a successful business for himself. But right alongside that hunger for growth is a desire to make a difference. If each of us were to simply look at our resources, our talents, what we love and what we have to offer, and made the choice to find a way to give to others based on who we are, I think we could each find amazing ways to make the world better that are completely unique to us. And together we create this kind of amazing tapestry of impact. And we each get to feel like what we're doing really reflects who we are. We all have something unique to offer, and all it takes to make our contribution is to spend some time considering what we would like that contribution to be, and how it reflects us, and then acting on it. Changemaker number 2. It's time to see our problems as solvable. We tend to think of something like world hunger as a problem that will never go away, but there are ways to solve it that are right in front of us. We've spoken on our show with guests like Robert Lee of Rescuing Leftover Cuisine in New York City and Kim Buffington of Eden Gives in Detroit, who have found ways to end or reduce hunger in their communities by using resources that we already have, food that's already been produced. We have enough food in this world to end hunger for everyone. It's just about getting smarter about how we produce it and how we share it globally. What I think Michael highlights for us is the fact that in America, 1 in 6 children don't have enough to eat. Well, let's not behave anymore as though we don't have a solution. By supporting organizations like No Kid Hungry and countless other organizations who are doing similar work, we can empower people who are fully focused on solving this problem in different ways, and then we can get involved ourselves directly, like Michael has. Make a problem like this personal and become part of the solution so that you understand it better. When it comes to food insecurity, we've heard from all of our guests who are working on those solutions that the answers are right here, available to us now. How about we take them at their word? It's time to face our problems and believe that we can solve them, rather than continuing to believe that they're too complex or too big. And changemaker number 3. No contribution is insignificant. Michael could have looked at a cupcake and he could have wondered how it can really impact the world for the better, but he didn't judge the contribution he wanted to make. He knew that he had a passion for baking, and he decided to translate that into the impact that he can make because it's more meaningful for him. Here's an example of something small and simple, but powerful. Imagine, for example, if thousands of home bakers around the United States decided to start baking bread, cookies, pies, and other things that they love for homeless shelters and halfway houses in their local communities. How much more joy and lightheartedness would the residents of these places feel to get something that they can really enjoy and savor that's a little bit of an indulgence, rather than just filling a need? How much more seen and provided for would the residents of these places feel? And how would that impact their relationship to food insecurity or to the support that they're receiving? You can't tell Michael that a cupcake can't change the world in its own way, because he knows that that's just not true. Here's what you can do today. Visit nokidhungry.org and consider supporting their organization. Research food banks, soup kitchens, school-supported food programs, and other food organizations in your community who are feeding hungry families and hungry children, and find ways to support them based on their needs and based on what you have to offer. Our challenge for today's episode is inspired by Michael. Make something of your own and donate it to a person or organization in need. This could be food, you could bake something or cook something, or something else that you've made, maybe a piece of clothing, a scarf, a pair of gloves if you knit or crochet. But let it be something that you've made so that you're connected to your contribution directly in the way that Michael is. Bake some cookies and bring them to a local volunteer organization to share with the volunteers, or to a local homeless shelter or food shelter, or even a hospital. Get out into the community and hand something that you've physically made yourself to someone who will greatly appreciate it and benefit from it. I think doing something like that is so powerful, and it really brings the impact home. Donating money and donating time are also so important, but that act of making something and then giving it to someone else who will enjoy it and benefit from it, I think is really special. If you'd like to support Michael and his work and mission, you can jump onto the Michael's Desserts website at michaelsdesserts.com. If you're in his local area, you can order desserts and pick them up curbside. You can also order t-shirts and cake mixes on their website, or you can donate to Michael's nonprofit, Platt, which provides nutrition and home gardening resources to people in Michael's local community, and tips when it comes to shopping and cooking on a budget. Feel free to check out the work that Michael is doing with Platt as well. You can also jump onto social media and follow the work that Michael's doing on Instagram, and you can spread the word about Michael's Desserts and see what kind of conversation it inspires with the people around you. And don't forget to give some thought to the simple things that you can do, the simple contributions you can make, just like Michael, within your local community and in your sphere of influence. No impact is insignificant. Thanks so much for being here with us today. If you enjoyed our episode and if you're inspired by the work that we're doing, please subscribe and share this show with others. Give us a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening on. And be sure to tune in for our next episode with Dr. Ian Singleton, director of the Sumatran Orangutan Conservation Program in Indonesia. We'll dig into Dr. Singleton's work in the rainforests of Indonesia, what he's doing to protect and preserve orangutan habitats, and what you can do to make sure that the wildlife of this part of the world is protected. Until then.